Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Spiritual Rebels and Misfits podcast. We are really excited that you're here to get weird with us.
And we're going to have all kinds of, absurd ideas, playing around with magnificent guests. And we're just going to go the places you always wanted to go. But, couldn't tell mom and dad how you felt about aliens, about channeling. You couldn't say fuck.
I'm Ashley Bradley. I am a mom. I am an intuitive business coach. I'm a business psychic and a channel.
And I am James Lester. I am an open homosexual. I'm a speaker, a writer. I am a member of the recovery community, and I am a queer activist.
And after you listen today, we would love it if you would follow us in one of the podcast places, Spotify, Apple, just to name a few. Subscribe, leave us a review. It helps new people find what we've created, and we thank you for listening. Let's do this.
Hi everyone.
That's weird.
That we say it in unison.
Yeah,
I think we should match next time we're together.
That's not a thing that's gonna ever happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be theme night. I think we're gonna match. We could be like Sunny and Cher, or like whatever.
Okay, so first of all, I'm having a hard time that you're acting like we're actual couple, and then secondarily, I'm having a hard time you're acting like we're a lesbian couple. That's like gonna show up in like matching.
You have to be a couple to dress in like best friends dress in matching outfits all the time.
I'm turning 40 soon, right? We're not 12 years old. Let's get on track now.
Fine, whatever.
Nice.
So before we dive into our topic, we were actually just saying that we're considering changing our podcast name for season 3 because we pretty much cover a lot of things related to sex and a lot of things related to aliens and galactic beings lately. So we might just fully go with that theme and just like fully commit and say yes to it. So you guys can place your vote if you have any new ideas.
Well, Solange is the one that offered that up. So we're thinking of going by alien orgies. So
if Facebook allows it.
Yeah,
then.
I will get banned from Facebook again because that's a thing. So I am really excited for today.
Do you want to dive straight into this? Because I feel like we always go, we're like, oh, do we like meander? Do we like, look at the flowers, so to speak, and like talk about our fucking week? Or do we just like go straight to it?
You started that off so sweet, then you got a little hostile. All right, let's talk about the week. What's your week been like?
I feel like it was super emotional with like my son starting preschool, and he went to the dentist for the first time after that, and he like freaked the fuck out. And then they were like, he's waking up the other children at nap time.
Not at the dentist, at preschool.
At preschool, they're like, yeah, like he didn't nap, and he's like waking up the other kids. And it was really hard today. And I was like, so then I had like a manifesting, calling in all the angels, all his spirit team. Literally, I was doing this yesterday. I was like, please help this kid with nap. Please repeat like nap time voice over and over until he gets it. And he's going to stay at this school. And he did. He had a great day, and he like napped, and we were like so excited. But
I recommended NyQuil, but that's probably why I'm not.
Yeah, I know.
What else?
Well, what about you? I mean,
don't you have like major like business things on the horizon?
I have my business universe like virtual launch party tomorrow, but that hasn't happened yet. But if anyone wants to stop by tomorrow to my other page, The Practical Mystic, I'm doing giveaways and like business readings and coaching from 11:30 to 2:30 tomorrow. And I'm going to have to make a graphic that says like, back in 5, have to pee, but don't worry, we're gonna like give some shit away for free next. So you should just like keep watching while I pee. I'm gonna plan that on Canva later. 11:30 Pacific, yeah.
You should keep watching while I pee.
Because I'm gonna give something away for like there's gotta be something.
You should give something away from the toilet. I mean, you're always talking about how your toilet time is your sacred time. So just be pinching.
I'm just gonna like do it on the toilet and just like keep talking.
Or are we gonna keep it real or not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, well, fuck me.
So anything you want to just get into this one?
Well, kind of, because it's been like
it.
the thing that's been really, really resonating with me the last couple weeks. And I really think because our guest today, Christal, she really helped me do some amazing shadow work like a couple months ago. Just so amazing. I think that like it finally kind of like hit, or like my soul finally like got like going with it. And it's just like the last couple of weeks, like here's the thing for me, like, you know, being in recovery and like even being in the spiritual world or realm. And that's kind of like why we have this group again.
Yes.
I feel like sexuality or being sexual, it's like if you're overtly sexual or talk about sex too much, people like act, I think it's mostly an act. They're like, oh my God, or that's so offensive, or you've gone too far, or you're not really spiritual if you're talking about.
Yeah, because what do they call it when it's not, is it deflecting or would it be projecting when the people actually like is not settled within themselves about that topic, so they have to like go and judge everyone else to make it a point? That's like their shield, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and for me, like, and Christal really helped me see this, you know, doing some work with her, like being in your sexual deliciousness fully and truly, like that is spirituality as well. Like it's to be fully spiritually centered is to own your sexuality. And I will say that in my disease, you know, sex was a problem because I used it as a crutch. I used it as a deflector from my actual illness. I would just have sex with people to not have to deal with what was going on inside. But when you're healed or healing and you're centered, to really explore your sexuality and your sexual desires and to really honor your shell that you're inside of, for me, that is spirituality. And when you're with someone that truly honors your energy and you honor their energy, like that's fucking magic right there. And I feel like until I did that work with Christal, I felt like I couldn't own that. Or if I did, people were judging me and I get all butthurt. Well, not actually butthurt, but like I would get, you know, all kinds of weird about it. And for me to fully own who I am, especially as I'm approaching 40, like I'm a sexual being.
Yeah.
And we're meant to enjoy sex. And I know Christal will elaborate on this, but like I've been really feeling it these last couple of weeks, and you know the cosmos aligned that Christal was able to join us today. So I'm really excited. Any thoughts yourself on this journey?
Yes, I think well, I think there was another big thing in the week that I think ties into this topic for me, like because I was talking about when I posted that podcast episode about motherhood and marijuana, that was the first time like on my public profile. Cause you know, we'll mention it, but most of those people
don't pay attention.
They're probably not even fucking watching. Yeah. But like to actually do like a separate post where all the family was but the thing that's connected to this is that I was like, I'm no longer like sacrificing anymore to like create shame around all of these things that someone told me were bad. And I feel like, yeah, I talked about being this goody two shoes, like, you know, straight A student, Ashley. And I was like, literally like self-sacrificing on so many levels to maintain that image. And like, even with my assault or my rape, like I didn't tell anyone about that. I didn't tell my mom about that because it's like, oh, what if people were to think I was a slut? Like, what if people were, you know, to have judgment about me and my character and make assumptions about me? Oh, well, I cannot risk that. I'm not going to risk this kind of facade of the good girl, because to me, that was like my identity. And I think that it's really connected in with me. Like, I think as well with like being like, yeah, like I smoke weed and moms and wine is a thing. So like, why would this be bad? You know? And I think it's, there's just something about me, I think, that's falling away to where I'm like, you know, at this point, like I truly love myself and all my glorious weirdness enough to just be like, this is all of me. And I'm straight with myself and with my higher self and soul self. And if we're good, we feel that love, that I don't have to make sure that everyone is in agreement with that knowing, right?
Well, absolutely. And I think it does tie back to sex because it's the constructs that society has put on us. And I was kind of chatting with Christal about this in text messages when we were finally like putting this together. And I kind of was on this rant. I'm like, you know, people like want to say that people that are like overtly sexual or like really into sex or like horny, there's something wrong with them. And for me, you know, my experience, you know, in my disease and being a former sex worker is it was especially the men that had to bottle up or chose to bottle up their sexuality or their sexual desires, that were the most heinous in the world and the most uptight and the most angry.
The Catholic Church, basically.
I didn't say it, you did.
I mean, that's like a legit thing. And when I was reading about narcissism recently, like it talks about that as well. So it's like, let's just,
but for me, the people that are truly sexually liberated, and again, there is a difference between using sex as a crutch or a crux or whatever you want to call it, and actually being in your divine sexuality. But the people that don't own that and try to live by the constructs of society that society has built, the same with smoking weed, you know, those people that try to live to the image, they're the most miserable and they're the most toxic to our universe and to the world in general. And the people that own their sexuality and are getting some and enjoying their sex and are with people that, you know, exchange energy, they're the most liberated and fun people to be around. Christal's a perfect example of that.
And also part of the reason why we incarnate in the physical and we have physical bodies is to enjoy like our sexuality and enjoy our bodies as well. And did you see my note that, so Journey of Souls and then Destiny of Souls is the second book. And so I'm reading Destiny of Souls and like they recreate sex, like literally in spirit. So I just want to like plant that seed for you, maybe journal on this later about what scenes you might want to recreate when you go into spirit, and they can kind of like use energy to kind of like recreate some. Yeah. Are you excited about that? Like you and I have like shared our opinions, and I was like, no, I think it's above that. And the energy just like swirls, and like, they don't have that kind of sex there, but some want to keep having sex to have physical bodies in the spirit world. So that's exciting news from us today.
Well, you can also have sex here. I want to point that out in your actual fucking body.
I'm saving myself first. My spiritual world.
And this is when our friendship ended.
Okay, we need to get back on track.
Okay.
We're just getting off track here.
Well, I'm just really excited. I'm glad Christal, she popped in like backstage. She's just so ridiculously gorgeous. We're on low resolution today. Anyone that's watching it, not hearing it. And then so like we're like trying to deal with that. We're trying to like get the lighting like decent. And we're like, okay, this will work. Like we're both in frame. And then Christal pops on. I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. Like that's how you're gonna play this game. So those of you that are listening to podcasts, you won't get to see. So look it up on YouTube. She's just gorgeous. And she's one of those beings that are just gorgeous from the inside and it resonates outside. So I'm super excited, and I think we should bring her in.
Yeah, I think we should bring her in.
Let's do it.
So it's Christal Vison, by the way, but if it just really excites you to call her Christal Vision, she's down with that. So I'm gonna pull Christal in. Hi, Christal.
Hi. That's the propensity. I want it. Christal Vision. Yeah.
I think like you just stopped fighting at some point. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been embracing it since they called my name in roll call. It's like elementary. It was fun. I've been doing it my whole life. I probably should just add an I.
Right. So,
Yeah.
babe, you were around a whole bunch our first season, but for those that may be joining us for this first episode or this season, why don't you let the world know about what you explore, your gifts, what you're all about, so they fully get the gifts of Christal.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, my intention and my practice is just to really help people fully embody and accept themselves, all of themselves, to know that they're not bad or wrong, and that their light and their shadow is equally important. Their conscious mind and their unconscious mind is equally important. And that leads a lot into sexuality. I mean, my specialty is in sexuality, but I, work with people around grief or money or just really wanting to get to their truth of who they are. That's my mission on the planet, is just to really help people be reminded of their source and where they come from. And that's, individual to each and every person. So that's what I'm here doing.
Do you have any thoughts on like our purpose here, like being in a physical body and sex, or like the purpose of sex, so that people can catch up. People that weren't listening to last season can kind of catch up on like your ideology and all this.
Yeah. So as far, I mean, purpose here, everyone is, playing that out differently, I feel. And it's all okay. And it can be really argued that things that are shitty on the planet in many different ways aren't okay. But I believe that, when it comes up to it or down to it or whatever, and it's all hashed out, we are all playing out God's divine plan. And that is a balance between light and shadow. And we learn as souls on this planet the lessons we come to learn. And when we go back, the expansion has happened. So it's about having this holistic view of everything has purpose. And that's just where I come from in my own body. That's what I feel in my body.
Let's dive into the sex part though, because we don't want to, like, you have some wisdom to share on this. Like, I was learning about how like sexuality and sexual energy is life force energy from you, and like I just want you to give your unique perspective on that, because everyone really needs to hear it through your lens.
So when one remembers that sexuality and spirituality are the same thing and they are not separate, is when spirituality actually deepens. It's when a spiritual experience becomes more. There's a lot of, like what you guys were talking about before, where there's just the archetype of being spiritual means to be outside of the body, right? But we're in bodies. We're on the planet. We're in bodies, and believe me, I spent a lot of time out of my body. But my work brought me to sexuality because I think that was my path. A part of my path was like, get in the body. Because you're here. This we're learning and expanding with each and every experience here. And we do that through our body. So ultimately, when we can connect that spiritual ideal or experience with the somatic experience, and remember that these are united, these are one and the same, this is when spirituality really opens for people, because it makes it holistic. This is now not a separate thing. We're not pushing a part of us away. We're saying, come back. I am in unification and I'm in oneness.
I love that. So Christal, can we talk a little bit about your own spiritual evolution that brought you to this work? Kind of like a little bit of Christal backstory, because I know you did some different work before you got to this place you're at now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what kind of work were you doing it before, and what really brought you to the evolution of where you're at now?
Yeah, for about 2 decades, I've been working in energy work. So, just working with chakras, and also, really tapped into my own psychic abilities and things of that nature. And just working with people and clearing energies and all of that. So it was a very out of the body spiritual experience. And then I was called. It's not even, I thought it was a good idea. Maybe I try it out. When you remember that sexuality and spirituality are the same, it's because it's fucking time. And
yes, girl.
It calls you.
Yeah.
It brings you home. It's so, like I said, almost 2 decades in the energy and in the ether. And then it said, no, we're going now into the body. Kundalini called me and she said, all right, here, we're going to do this now. So then I, pivoted and added that to my work. And I've been in transformation pretty much the whole time ever since. It's when you start to really step into your spirituality on a somatic level, you're clear. That thing when people say, I feel it in my body, and we're talking about that intuition, that knowing, I feel it in my body, or I can just sense it. So that always was in my work before something that I could conceptualize, articulate. But then when the channel became bigger of, I feel this now in my body and I trust this feeling, what it comes down to is the body never lies. It never lies. You can ask the body any question, and if you're tuned in enough to it, it will respond to you. Your pussy is here and your cock is here to communicate and guide.
Mine's a chatty Cathy. But I kind of want to tap on something, Christal, that is like, I think the most beautiful part of the work that I see you do, and it's so important to me, is the men and the women that have been through sexual trauma or have overly used sex for the wrong reasons, and then they get to a place of healing. And then I feel like for some of us that are on that boat, we then feel like we have to deduce our sexual life. We have to take it out of the picture. We kind of have to walk away from it. Women that have been through sexual trauma, men as well, that have been through rape, molestation, or being in the sex industry, it's kind of like you feel like, okay, I can't have a sex life because I overly abused it, or I was this, or I was that.
Or even becoming a mom, I feel like in some ways, like with the changes of the body and like them putting themselves into like a certain category or box.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the same for like women that like are on the forefront of like the spiritual awakening we're going through, light workers, about still being able to own and love your sexuality. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's the work that I've been seeing you doing. And I know you've worked with a lot of women. You have a past of your own that's been very, rigid with different sexual ups and downs, and people really reclaiming their sexuality. And I believe you use, is it the erotic blueprint? Am I saying that right? And if you want to talk a little bit about that so people understand that a little bit more.
So to be clear, you want me to talk about the erotic blueprints, or is the question more geared towards reclaiming your sexuality while you are in the healing stage?
I think I was throwing two at you at once, so I apologize for that. So kind of if you want to start with reclaiming your sexuality.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, what I can say to that is, if you're in a healing stage, which is a stage, we have the healing stage, we have a resting stage, we have an adventurous stage, and we have a spiritual kind of transformational stage where, we're getting all tantra and everything is like out of body, right? We're in our bodies and we're going to different planets. So, so the healing stage is just as important as the transformational stage. Sexuality isn't just to be here as fully expressed all the time, boning all day long, orgasms all day long. It is that place of being easy on the self and being gentle with the self and being tender with the self, and what the self is really, what the body's really asking for. So becoming a mom, some people, they're tearing, or they're experiencing, just hormonal imbalance or trauma, rape, past molestation, assault, all this kind of stuff. This needs to be dealt with from a place of tenderness and honoring, not pushing or forcing the self to move any faster than it wants to. If it's in a, coming, you start to feel, okay, I'm here, I'm in healing. There's a shadow to healing stage. I'm in healing and I'm just going to stay in healing. Right.
Yeah.
And that is when it's where the work but you have to trust that voice. Like, I know I'm just staying in this because it's comfortable, but I can feel the yearning, the calling. And we all know, if we're really listening to ourselves, we know, okay, I'm not taking the steps. I'm not dissolving the shit that's in my way so that I can start moving forward and move past this and actually really heal. But then there is the thought of, which I do really resonate with, that where this starts is nothing in us is bad or wrong or needs to be fixed. We're already exactly where we should be. And that's why accepting the healing stage is really important. And that is a part of the erotic blueprint. So then you can, and as we will slide into that now in the erotic blueprints, if you're going to start to make efforts to heal and graduate your healing stage to an adventurous stage or a curious stage, right? Now I'm just going to be curious. What's next? It's about knowing how to feed the body and what the body wants. And we all have these different nervous systems that are fed in certain ways. So, for example, you can be an energetic nervous system with a little bit of kink, and you got to know how to feed those things so you can edge your way into it and, start to really make and see some differences in your experience and return home to your body because it wants pleasure.
I love how you laid that out, girl, because I think that so many of us, and, Taylor left a great comment, said healing doesn't have a timeline. I absolutely agree with that. Some of the fears I had in my own healing process, though, is I was just going to stay in healing, because to get to curiosity or adventurous or any of that was going to take, some of that shadow work and some looking at things. And it can be terrifying, and then again, society shrouds sexuality with all these things and all these trap doors. So if you really want to do the shadow work, you kind of have to do it like secret society and very quietly and with, very, very privately. And some of that's okay, but I'm so glad you came along into my timeline again and helped me see like, hey, you can talk about this shit. You can go from healing to curious, and guess what? You can get adventurous. And I'm so glad that I was introduced to the work you're doing.
Well, when you got to 5D, then you were back on Christal's level. So we were able to be in each other's experience again.
We all go to sleep and wake back up and go to sleep, wake back up. Shit.
So Christal, I do, if you're down for it, thinking about, you doing a little bit of demonstration or a little bit coaching live.
Yeah, I didn't even know exactly what we were going to do, but what do you want to do?
Okay, yeah, I would love to take you guys through something that I feel is really fitting for this topic. What I was talking about before is that in the remembering that spirituality and sexuality are the same thing, and that integration is when this really starts to open up for people. So when spirituality deepens, okay? And I think it really is, it's amazing how that, once that's integrated, it's a light bulb goes off and it's demystified that, there's two separate things. They're not separate. Actually, I want to read this to you really quick. I saw a meme of a billboard that said, "You can't hold hands with God when you're masturbating." And then this is the best comment here. I was like, yes, girl. She said, "God is holding my vibrator in all the right places." I did not want to miss out on that. But that's the reality. Our bodies are creations of God. I mean, I really believe sex is a gift from God, to help us remember that it's real. Mm-hmm. Because when we are there, right, in that moment of orgasm, what are we saying? Oh God, oh God. Oh God. Oh my God. Yeah. It's God. It's full pleasure. I'm no longer in an illusion of fear. And this, everything stops. Everything stops. And we're in full pleasure, not sitting in fear. And it's an embodied experience. It's not just a thought or something of that nature. So pleasure is source, source is pleasure. That's exactly it. So yeah, I would love to do a little coaching around it if you guys want to do.
Like go along on the journey with us as well.
Yes.
Like,
So everyone usually, I want to say this too. It's really important because this work is it's really sacred to me, and it's we do this confidentially always, especially when it's around sex. You guys are so beautifully generous in this vulnerability to allow it to happen. I've chosen a process where it can be a pretty gentle and discreet to your choosing experience, but anybody that's here can follow along. I won't be able to know where you are in the process. So if I finish before, just do your best to kind of wrap up your experience. And then I want to ask,
wrapping up their experience. Is there like masturbation as a part of these exercises?
No.
Should it be somewhere private? Like
no. We're going to keep this all in the emotional space.
Oh, okay.
Finish up.
Everyone, we're gonna pause where you light your candles, get your vibrators. No, they can be at a coffee shop.
Video.
Okay,
We're gonna pause video so Facebook doesn't ban us. Only okay.
Christal.
Yeah. So I want to ask that as James and Ashley are here doing this process live, that we all just hold space for their highest good to come through. And we see them in all the light and magnificence that they are. Know that we are sitting here in the presence of masters and souls. So it's important for us to hold that space for them. And if you're following along, like I said, do your best to wrap up, because I won't know where you are in the process. And I wish I did, because I love holding that space too, but I won't. Well, let me give you a little bit of a rundown of how it's going to go. So I'm just going to ask you to feel your spirituality, okay? And then we're going to switch to, I want you to feel your sexuality. And we're going to go back and forth. And when I'm asking you to feel spirituality, I want you to just speak something into the space, a couple words. So for example, if I'm going to feel in my body a thought, an image, a body sensation, or an emotion, because this is how they arise out of us. If I'm going to do that and I'm feeling my spirituality, I would say oneness. Okay. That's just a word I can speak out into the space and kind of anchor in. And then I'm going to feel my sexuality. Alive. That's what arises for me right now. So when I say speak something into the space, that's just an anchor for you, okay? We're going to go back and forth between the two. And then at some points, I'm going to ask you to feel them both at the same time. What's going to happen as we go back and forth, feel them at the same time, back and forth, feel them at the same time, is you're going to notice they're going to start integrating, okay? At the very end, I'm going to ask you, what's happening to them. If you're seeing that they're integrated, feeling that they're integrated, and one of you finishes before the other, we're going to keep going with the other, and we'll just and I'll ask you to hold space. And at the end, we'll close it out with some really yummy stuff. And I want to set the intention here that we are connecting right now, the heart center, our spirituality, and our genitals, okay? We are making a connection between the two. And that's important because this is the gate. This is the gate. We're opening the gate. We're connecting the heart with the genitals. We're connecting the spirit with sexuality. And after that is going to be a ride. Also, before we start, I want to acknowledge that masculine is on the journey of connecting the genitals and bringing it up to the heart space. And this is when his spirituality finally opens, right? Because now, and it doesn't matter if you identify masculine, it's whatever's in your system. But if you are primarily operating masculine, it's about taking that genital, sexual, primal creation and giving it the heart space, right? A feminine energy deeply awakens when she can take that heart, that love, that and when her sexuality gets connected to that, this is when her spirituality really awakens. So it's different for the feminine and masculine as far as direction, but it's the same theme. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So are you guys ready to begin?
Yes.
Thank you for being here and lending yourself to this. All right. So go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to start with 3 deep breaths. Set the intention of integration. Start to really feel your body and anchor in. Feel the spine. Feel your sit bones. Feel the weight of your body sitting down on the couch. And now I want you to feel sexuality. Find it in your body. Like I said, it can show up as an image, thought, body sensation, or emotion, or all of them, or 2 or 3. Just find it in your body. Start to really feel it. Get to know the essence of it. Maybe locate it. See what's arising. Feel what's arising for you. And now I want you to speak something into the space about it.
Tingling.
Hunger.
Thank you. Now with a deep cleansing breath, I want you to blow that out and let that go. Awesome. Now I want you to feel spirituality, wherever that is in your body, whatever that looks like. Feel it fully and completely. Magnify it. Dramatize it. Let's say something into the space about it.
Hi.
Laughter.
Thank you. Deep cleansing breath. Blow that out. Let that go. Great job. You guys are doing wonderful. Now I want you to drop back into the feeling of your sexuality. Dive into it completely. Marinate in it. Magnify that marination. Give yourself permission to feel it all. The light and the shadows, the conscious and the unconscious. You're doing great. Say something into the space about it.
Goosebumps.
Thrilling.
Thank you. Take a deep cleansing breath, and now I want you to switch back over and feel spirituality. Feel it fully and completely. Let it completely engulf you. Expand that feeling out into infinity. Say something into this space about it.
Unity.
Stardust.
Thank you. Now I want you to take a deep cleansing breath. Great job. Feel your sexuality fully. Let every atom in your body be completely drenched in your sexuality. You guys are doing great. I want you to see all the details that live there. Feel all the details. Hear all the details. And know that you are complete in this, even in the shadows. The shadows are a part of your wholeness here. Speak something into the space.
Alive.
Come.
Thank you. You're doing great. Now I want you to take a deep cleansing breath and feel sexuality and spirituality at the same time. Tell me what's happening to them, Ashley.
It's like they're growing together, and then I just see this energy expanding outward.
Thank you. James, what's happening to them?
It's like the image of two bodies dissolving into one another.
Thank you. Great job, you guys. All right, we're going to go back to sexuality and we're going to speed it up this time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So feel sexuality fully and completely. Get marinated in it as quick as you can. Say something into the space about it.
Yes.
Heartbeat.
Thank you. Take a deep cleansing breath, and we're going to switch over now to feeling spirituality again. Magnify it, dramatize it. Make it as giant as you can. See all the details. Feel all the feelings. Speak something into the space about it.
Vibration.
Experience.
Thank you. You guys are doing really great. Good job. Take a deep cleansing breath and travel back over to sexuality. Totally immerse yourself in it. Feel everything that's there. Great job. I'm here with you. I feel you. I can feel you. It's beautiful. Say something into the space about it.
Activating.
Trust.
Thank you. Deep cleansing breath. We're going to travel back over to spirituality now. Feel it all. Totally marinate. Make it giant, as big as it can be, bigger than it's ever been. Say something into the space about it.
Explosion.
Thank you. Deep cleansing breath. Travel back to sexuality. You're doing great. Feel it all the way. Bigger than you've ever felt it before. You're safe here to do that. Expand it, dramatize it. Say something into the space.
Swell.
Outward.
Thank you. Now I want you to feel them again, both at the same time, with a deep cleansing breath. Tell me what's happening to them.
I feel my spirit team is like coming in and like doing some work on connecting right now. So I feel like there's like angelic support or like a healer guide that's coming in and actually helping to work on the connections right now.
Does spirituality and sexuality feel separate to you?
No.
What does it feel like if you could give it a word?
Radiating.
Thank you.
Glowing.
Thank you. James, what's happening to them?
It's just like one big pulsing light, and it's both white and pink, and they pulse separate and together.
Does sexuality and spirituality feel like two separate things to you?
Not at all.
If you could give it a word, what would that word be?
Wholeness.
Thank you. I want you now both to imagine a white light above your head. Ashley, yours is called radiating and glowing. James, yours is called wholeness. And I want you to let that white light cascade down into your body. And know that this is the glowing and radiation of this integration and the wholeness of this integration. And I want you to let it wash through you, forward, in front of you, into infinity, and behind you, far, far away, to the right of you and to the left of you, and above and below. I want you to now see that as a ball of white light in the heart center. And bring it up through the throat into the third eye pineal gland. In the exhale, I want you to see that light contract. Or in the inhale, I'm sorry, see that light contract. And in the exhale, I want you to expand that light out into infinity. And we're going to breathe like this just for a little bit here. Contract with the inhale. Bring the light into the pineal. Exhale. Expand the light out into infinity. Inhale. Contract. Exhale. Expand it out into infinity. Just do that breathing and that light technique here. Keep that going. Contract. expand. You guys did wonderful. Come back to Earth when you're ready.
Wow. Whew. I feel like it's hard to like come back to the conversation after that. I felt like I was floating.
James, what do you know now that you didn't know before?
Well, you'll get this from the work we did, but there is safety in sexuality when I involve my spirituality.
Mm.
Ashley, what do you know now that you didn't know before?
I feel like that there's maybe more healing that's taken place than what I've acknowledged, and that there's lots of places to kind of explore and grow into this combining.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Christal.
What are some actions that you guys can take to integrate this even further into your life?
Well, I have definitely started the Alchemies of Horus, which is spiritual masturbation, and starting to like link manifestation practices with like sacred masturbation. And I mean, I guess that's a big thing, even if I'm like willing to talk about that and say that in the spirit of, why not just announce masturbation and marijuana all in the same fucking week? We're just really going for it. Yeah.
Awesome. James, what can you do to further integrate this?
Well, I think I got the masturbation thing down already. I think I'm like an A+ gold star student in that. And
Victorian.
Other Ashley and I were talking about making sure to say meditation and masturbation. But I think to further integrate this is to really start to value and study my own body and my own shell and realize how awesome it is, because I often berate it and not value it. And so when I present it to someone else or it's in the presence of someone else, I know how beautiful it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to hide in the darkness the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can continue on working on that together if you want.
I would love that.
I'd be honored to continue to help you in that.
Yes, definitely.
So what was good about this for you guys?
I think that I don't remember. I think it was called like a Pete technique, and I was like learning at one point about merging energies, but I've never merged these two. And so for me, like I just really love that process of actually embodying it, as well as not just like knowing it on a logical, level, but actually experiencing it in the body was really powerful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. This is a Pete technique.
I have not known of other people that have used that, because it came to me, it was like given to me through spirit, and I was like, primordial, like what? Like, is this a fucking thing? Like, and I looked it up and I was like, fuck, this is a fucking thing that like I have to go learn. And so I got like the Udemy on it. I just went to Udemy and paid the $12.99 to learn it, but this is the first time that I've actually experienced it. And so it's also waking me back up to that tool that I was like, oh yeah, I need to like bring this back in. It's fucking powerful.
It is. The tool of duplication is massively powerful. It's what gets rid of the charge/resistance around anything. So if we step in and we duplicate it, thought, emotion, body sensation, or image, it's, that thing, face your fear. Feel it fully.
And I know you and I both love Carolyn Elliott and Existential Kink. And so, yeah, like I feel like she's like my idol at this point. But yeah, like I really like how it's like these permission to really feel things in the body, especially when you might resist it. And how much just allowing yourself to feel it like really shifts things internally. Like I was noticing that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. even celebration of, I think of the unconscious shit that I see in my life right now that I've created. And my conscious mind would say, that's lame. But I have to stop and celebrate that a part of me got what it wanted.
Yeah. It's like,
that we're going into a
love
whole
that this is happening, right?
yeah. Part of me is like, fuck yeah.
Yes, we did it. Yeah. I feel like that has been powerful of like, because sometimes we're just like putting so much energy into resisting the things that we don't want when we're just like, oh, that's cool. Like a part of me wants this. What part is that? Like, great. Like, well, I'm just going to be really grateful that a part of me created this and just like almost get the pleasure out of it, to move it into pleasure and to just be aware of it. I think like it really takes, it shifts things quickly. I feel like it just,
it dissolves it over time, right? Depending on how deep and real you get into it with the duplication. Anyway.
I know a lot of people think though that they're just like, well, why would I like say that I am grateful for something I don't want? And isn't that like against every Abraham Hicks and like manifestation thing? But I love how she's like, wow, like literally a part of you wants this. And this is the truth. So all that you're really doing is like acknowledging the reality of it, and you don't have to keep creating it. But I think sometimes we get so in the anti of like, kind of Tosha Silver was saying this, right? Of like, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to have these bad things. I'm just going to create more of it. But I love that you're saying like, as well, we need to dive into those parts and be with those parts as well.
The only way out is through, that, and if we're going to ignore that, then we're abandoning ourselves and our journey, and we're hijacking ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But also I feel like this really taps into, the whole topic of what this is today, which is, some of us have really learned on an unconscious level that sexuality is shameful, put it away, and this is when the unconscious comes out and says, okay, I'm going to have sexuality, but I'm going to have it in shame. And this is dangerous. Mm-hmm. This is dangerous, or can be dangerous for the world. Rather than I kind of get off on, whatever, allow.
You can fill in the blank, everybody. Yeah. I kind of get off on blank.
Yeah. It is fill in the blank for sure. And no judgment here, right? It's like, that's my work, is to say, it's okay that you feel that way, that you are in that place. It comes from somewhere. You learned it somewhere, this life or another. But when we start to accept those parts of us and dive into them, rather than with the conscious mind pushing them away, that's when they start to dissolve and stop creating and hijacking our life and creating bullshit that we don't want,
So Christal, I know we're almost out of time, but I want to tap on something that I've really been working on our brief sessions together that was really vital for me. And I think since mostly women listen to this, they'll get this. I had gotten myself in a state where I was all about pleasing my partner. And I know that sounds like a backdoor compliment, but it really wasn't. It became an issue almost with sexuality. And I think women, especially, they assume that role where it's all about, I need to please my man or get my man off. And they don't leave space for their own orgasm or their own completion of their own enjoying of sex. And I just really am appreciative that you gave me the space to explore that it's okay for me to enjoy it and not try to like be like the performer the whole time. And really, it's kind of an ego stroke in a sense. But any thoughts or tips on how to really explore one enjoying sex when they're used to being the pleaser instead of the pleasee?
Yeah. Well, see, I'm going to bring this back to the blueprints right now, because the blueprint of a shapeshifter really gets off, actually finds pleasure in pleasing others. Mm-hmm. It's only when they're matched up with a taker or a blueprint that doesn't give a fuck, is in shadow, doesn't give a fuck about the other person, then they start feeling drained, or they have to keep giving, and their cup isn't being filled. So there is a blueprint, a nervous system that, I have it in me. I love giving pleasure, watching, my partner receive pleasure. That's a real turn on for me. But then on the same token, on the other side of that, a shapeshifter, even though that's what they love when they're in light, when they're in shadow and they're not stepping into that place of asking for what their needs are, and communicating what they need, it ends up being they're overgiving in that. And then, we know how that can go. So my guidance around that would be to be easy on the self, ask for your needs. Yeah. Ask for your needs to be met, communicate this to your partner, and start, find out your blueprint, because once you can understand what your blueprint is, that's when you can start saying, hey, I want to be touched like this. Hey, I want to experience that, and be easy on yourself, give yourself permission to feel, to receive, and also to give.
Yes.
How can people find their blueprint?
Okay.
We ask
Like,
at the
what's the best
end.
link?
They can reach out to me. I will give them the link to it.
Okay.
Well,
yes. Well,
yes.
we'll drop your links right now as well, so that you can link to the blueprint.
Well, Christal, I know you're in creation mode right now, but I know Solange is going to drop a couple ways for people to reach you in the meantime. But I know you have a couple things on the horizon. But I just want to really thank you for being here for this hour with us, man. Like, hopefully everyone else, if you didn't get a chance to go through it the first time on the live, you
We'll
go listen to
replay
it and just go through that, because it's honestly like amazing.
Yes.
And the visuals and the sensations behind it. Thank you so much for that, Christal.
Thank you both. I see you. I honor you both. I love you. You're both masters at play. And I see you in all of that. I love you.
I love you so
love you,
much.
Christal.
Love you. Thank you,
Thank
baby.
you.
Bye.
See you soon.
I wish that I was thinking, I was like, oh, I wonder if people have questions for Christal, because I just love hearing her answer questions, but we're just going to have to
that bitch is
dive
going to
in
be back.
again. Yeah.
So don't even worry about it. I will stalk her. I will fly out there and do a live with her. She will be back. But I mean, I hope that everyone takes the time that, like I said, if you didn't do it with us on the live,
yes,
to go back and listen to that. And just walk through those steps. It's a beautiful,
it's really
beautiful
powerful.
Journey. And I just love it. Any closing thoughts?
I'm seeing that Solange has dropped these links here for Christal. So, or if you just want to remember it, it's at dearsoul.incarnate. And that's on Instagram. But next week. Oh yeah. Do you want to talk about next week?
If you want to talk about next week.
So next week we are diving into spirituality, hypnosis, and actually utilizing the power of the unconscious mind. And so we are bringing in a hypnotist that's actually going to be talking to us about all of these different connections. And I feel like we really bonded over talking about Dolores Cannon and Michael Newton, who's the Journey of Souls hypnotist, and just all of those different works. And so I'm just very excited, because I always trip out the way that he describes things as a hypnotist and the things he understands about even the science and how our brain works, and how there's all these simple little fixes for things. I just feel like he's going to get us into some really deep and fascinating conversation. You're going to love it.
I always have deep and fascinating conversations with you, so we'll just add to it.
Yes.
But I feel really relaxed now, man. I don't know how you're feeling. I feel good.
Yeah, no, that was powerful. So I hope that everyone goes back and listens to it, and it'll be available as well. It usually takes a couple weeks until it makes it onto the audio thing, but you guys can replay it here. So anyway, we're going to take off now.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Love y'all. Bye.